13 pieces of equipment are getting balance changes in Clash of Clans, including some of the best combinations in the game right now. And I'm going to be breaking down all of the changes piece by piece, what they mean for all of the equipment involved, and then giving you some good synergy combinations using the brand new changes as well. Now guys, this is the first equipment balance change that we've ever received, and it is huge, but I think there are a lot of really good things and there are a lot of misses. Just to note, these changes will go into effect sometime in early September, so I don't know the exact date yet, but that is when we can expect it. Now for the Barbarian King, we have 4 changes. First, the giant gauntlet is getting nerfed, and here is a summary of the changes that are occurring. I didn't include every single change since only a few levels are getting changes for each specific thing, but I did include the max level changes on the left side of the chart. Now the 4 less self-healing and the 20 less DPS, you're probably not going to feel that much, let's be honest. After all, the king has thousands of HP and he also has hundreds of DPS, so this won't bother you that much. But we're also getting a nerf in the damage reduction, and guys, that 5% is huge. That's because the damage block percentage actually affects the effective HP that you get for the king, and guys, a small change results in a big change in the effective HP. Let me go ahead and show you. So in this chart, you can see how the effective HP for the king actually decreases for every level of the giant gauntlet that is getting nerfed, and at the max level, you're losing 28% of the bonus HP. So instead of it being 150% bonus HP, it'll only be 122%. So what does this mean for the giant gauntlet specifically? Honestly, I don't think it's gonna change too much when it comes to the giant gauntlet and how it's used as a piece of equipment, and it's nothing really crazy in that department. But what makes this nerf even more significant is the other buffs for the king equipment. So the next equipment that we're gonna talk about is the earthquake boots, which are getting a buff. Bro, thank God. Because guys, let me tell you, I fully scripted an equipment ranking video and everything before I knew about these balance changes, and at number 22 at the worst equipment in the game was the earthquake boots. These things just used to stink, but they're getting probably the biggest buff anything has ever gotten in Clash of Clans in my opinion. Let me go ahead and explain. First of all, we're getting an additional 2 radius. Now everybody on this channel knows that you measure the effects of a radius by looking at the area of the circle, and the area of the circle increases from 113 to 201. So this is a 78% increase, and this is a ridiculous buff. But it gets even crazier because we also get increased damage as well. This chart will summarize the increased damage percentage, and it goes all the way up to 60% at the max level. We also have an HP increase, but guys, come on, stay focused. Damage. So if we take into account both the increased damage as well as the area increase, how good is the new earthquake boots compared to the old one? This chart right here says it all. This is a 113% increase in the damage per area that the earthquake boots is doing, which is absolutely crazy. This is one of the craziest buffs I have ever seen. But guys, what does this actually mean? I mean, we don't just play a game of numbers, right? So here's the thing, I did even more math to figure out how the earthquake boots would work synergistically, and it's crazy. If you use the earthquake boots with the fireball, no building in the entire village, not even the town hall, will survive at max level. But you probably already expected that type of damage. What gets insane is when you put this with the spiky ball. With the spiky ball and earthquake boots at max level, only 3 buildings will survive: the clan castle, the ricochet cannon, and the town hall itself. This makes sense for balancing reasons. Imagine if you just dropped a king under an invisibility spell, activated the ability, and took out the clan castle or the town hall. That would be completely broken. So where does this put the earthquake boots in terms of king equipment? At the moment, it's pretty hard to tell, but I want to take a second just to talk about double nerfs. A double nerf is when you nerf one thing in the game, but you also buff its alternative. This is really hard to balance, and I know the Clash of Clans team is really good, but we have to be careful so we don't have a monster on our hands here. And spoiler alert, there are a lot of double nerfs all across the board. That being said, I think the earthquake boots change was really good, it was really warranted, and we're gonna have to test it when it actually comes out to see how it compares to the other equipment. Now the next equipment to talk about is the Barbarian puppet. First and foremost, it's getting double the duration on the rage of the little barbarians, so they're gonna be a lot better at what they do. We also have a king hit point increase from what you guys can see in the chart right here. And guys, I'm gonna be honest, this is not a game breaking change or anything, but it is very nice for those lower level players or for players who don't have epic equipment yet. And speaking of epic equipment, the spiky ball is also going to be receiving a nerf during this update. Across the board, the spiky ball is going to get at least 1 less bounce at each level, but at the early levels it's going to get a lot less bounces, and apparently this is happening because it was way too dominant at the early levels, so that's why particularly this balance change is happening. Now of course this change does make the spiky ball a little less strong, but it just ensures that it's not OP at the early town hall hull levels, and in my opinion this is a very good change. And only time will tell how the spiky ball is going to work with the reworked earthquake boots. Obviously I can't tell you exactly how this is going to end up because we don't have these things in the game yet, but what I can tell you is that if you were going to upgrade your giant gauntlet or your earthquake boots, then maybe just hold your ores and then just see how it ends up when people are actually playing with it and the balance changes finally come through. Alright, moving on to the queen, we only have 2 changes to talk about here. First, the archer puppet is getting a new ability rework. Thank goodness, man. I swear, this thing could make any defense look like the eagle artillery, even the mortar, man, they would just melt. But now they're going to be invisible for a certain amount of time, which will allow them to do a little bit more damage. I also think it's nice how the invisibility duration for the archers doesn't really exceed the invisibility duration for the invisibility vial for the queen, and this ensures that if you're using both of them together, the archers at the end of the invisibility will tank for the queen instead of the other way around, and this is a very nice touch in my opinion. Now, will this make the archer puppet meta? No, that's not gonna happen, but what it will do is it'll make it a nice update for the lower level player. The second equipment change is the frozen arrow, which is receiving a nerf. This is kind of funny to me because I don't really think this nerf is doing anything. We're receiving 10% less slowdown at the max level and then some gradual changes as well, but basically that max level is going to be a level 23 frozen arrow from before. So if you have the frozen arrow maxed, let me know if you noticed any real difference between the 65% slowdown and the 75% slowdown. I don't think this is going to do much. I mean, I think, to be honest, I think this is a little bit of a silly change. If you were using the frozen arrow before, you're going to use it, and if you weren't, you're not going to use it. It's not going to change that much. Now, if the frozen arrow slowdown stacked like I always wished it would, then this would be a different story, but unfortunately it doesn't. Notice that the healer puppet, the magic mirror, and the giant arrow did not get nerfed, and these are the main equipment pieces that I think are going to be used for the queen right now. So in terms of queen upgrades, I really wouldn't adjust anything right now. Now guys, I want to take a quick break to talk about this. My water bottle. This water bottle is great, but what makes it special is that it has a filter on the inside of it, so no matter where I fill up this water bottle, I will always get clean water. Now, if you guys don't drink water, obviously you don't need this, but I would highly recommend it because I've been using this every day for the last 6 months of my life. You can also take apart the filter and the mouthpiece just in case they need to get changed, so you don't have to buy another water bottle. Now, I've got a link on screen right now so that you guys can go ahead and buy this bottle. And guys, Brita did not sponsor me, but I genuinely believe in this product. It is really good, and if you do buy it with the link on screen, it does support the channel as well. So guys, if you don't have one of these and you need a water bottle, do consider getting one. I promise you will not regret it. All right guys, moving on, the Grand Warden got 4 pieces of equipment that are being changed, and it gets really interesting. First of all, the #1 equipment in the game, the Eternal Tome, got a huge nerf. We've lost 1.5 seconds from the Eternal Tome ability, so that means the new Eternal Tome will be the same as the level 12 Eternal Tome from before. Now guys, this stinks because I love this ability so much, but I'm gonna be honest, I think it's a really good change. The old Eternal Tome was way too strong, and now it still is as strong as it is, but you just have to be a lot better with your timing. And in my opinion, it's still #1. Next, we have the Life Gem, which is getting a change to its max HP increase stat. Now I've got the changes listed right here, but at max level, this means you're going to get 145 more HP on your troops. Now, to be honest, this isn't anything crazy in my opinion, but if you are using the Earthquake Boots Fireball strategy, then this could be a good follow-up because it is a passive ability. It's a small buff, but small buffs do a lot when you get a double nerf, and speaking of double nerfs, let's talk about the Healing Tome. The nerf to the Healing Tome is actually pretty chunky. You're going to be losing 5 seconds off of the max ability level, so that means you're going to get 750 less heal than you used to. Now you guys can see where the double nerfing does hurt. You got 750 HP lost on one side and 145 HP on the other side, and in total it's a 900 HP difference from using these two equipment compared to before. Regardless, I still think the Healing Tome is really good, especially if you're using the Eternal Tome as well, since they're both active abilities. And then, believe it or not guys, the Rage Gem is going to get a nerf, and this one kind of surprised me because I didn't think people were using this at all, but apparently this equipment has been tearing it up at the lower town hall levels, so everything below level 15 is going to go ahead and get a nerf, and then level 15 to 18 is the same as it was. was. Overall, I think the Warden equipment has better options based on your attack strategy, but I wouldn't recommend changing anything currently for your Warden equipment upgrades. Okay guys, now for the Royal Champion, which honestly received some pretty deadly nerfs. First of all, we have the Haste Vial, which is a staple for the Royal Champion, but it is getting 2 less seconds at every single level. And I'm not fully surprised by this. I've been saying that the Haste Vial is a meta equipment for the Royal Champion, and the devs are just proving the point right now. Now 2 seconds doesn't seem like a lot, but that ends up being 4 attacks less. So instead of having 16 attacks, you would do 20, and that ends up being close to 3,000 damage over that period of time. So it does hurt. It doesn't nullify the Haste Vial by any means, but it does put it into check. But I think on the next one, the devs might have messed up a little bit. The Hog Rider puppet is getting nerfed with the level of hogs that we're getting, and we're almost getting nerfed 2 levels for every single level. Now guys, this is really harsh in my opinion. Level 11 Hog Riders cannot withstand Town Hall 16 defenses. Let me show you what a level 11 Hog Rider does against Town Hall 16 defenses in the background right now. They do nothing. They basically just get spawned and blown up like creepers from Minecraft. I think 1 level would have been fine, but this is too harsh of a nerf for me. I can even show you this chart I made about the return on investment for the Hog Rider puppet, and basically we're getting what used to be the level 15 for this equipment, and you can see we're getting 12% less DPS and 22% less hit points. And guys, this is way too harsh in my opinion. But moving on, we have the Rocket Spear, which is getting buffed with the number of shots that it has now. Now for every level, it's gotten 2 more shots, which is really good. And the burst damage has increased to 9,800 additional damage, not total, but additional to what the RC would already be doing in the first place. Now I don't know for sure if this is going to change a lot, simply because the problem with this equipment is the mechanics and the way to use it, but I do think this opens up the options for what it could do with other damage equipment. As for the RC equipment as a whole, I would say just keep upgrading your Haste Vial and observe for the rest of them. Now that's it for the equipment, but there are other changes to talk about. First of all, the Overgrowth spell is getting a radius and a duration nerf, so it's getting nerfed quite a bit, and I have it summarized in the chart right here, and I think this was fully called for. The Overgrowth spell was way too powerful. You could just drop it and basically nullify a part of the base, so this is a very good nerf in my opinion. Now apart from this, the Valkyrie has been nerfed for some reason. I have no idea why. I have not been using this. I haven't been hearing of people using this, but apparently it's been cooking at the top level, so they had to nerf the Valkyrie. Now the Druid is also getting a nerf, and instead of bouncing to 4 targets, it's only going to bounce to 3 targets. So this is a lot less healing than you would get from originally, but I don't know if it's going to change anything versus the normal healers that we had. And last but not least, the Super Barbarian is getting a DPS nerf by 10 points, and this will help balancing the speed at which it clears buildings around the outside of the base. Now with all of these changes coming out at the same time, I can honestly say that this game is going to get a lot harder very soon. But one thing that won't change is the need for more gems in this game, whether it is to buy epic equipment that you don't have or ores to upgrade your other equipment. That's why you need to watch this video right here, which is going to break down every single way you can possibly get gems free to play in Clash of Clans so that you can be ready for these balance changes when they do drop.